This video is the intellectual property of Jacqueline Enterprise Inc. Click the link below to register for the course and go to Amazon.com and purchase your copy of Easy Corporate Comprehensive Curriculum for New Businesses. Leaving a steady job to start your own business isn't just a career move, it's a leap of faith, much like the Israelites leaving Egypt. For generations they lived in predictable routines, secure but limited. Egypt was both comfort and captivity. Stepping out meant embracing uncertainty, guided only by God's promise. Your job may offer security, but deep down you sense there's more. This is your call to leave your personal Egypt and trust God for a greater purpose. The first step is the hardest. Employee mindset and embrace stewardship. In Egypt, your time and future belong to someone else. In the wilderness, God invites you to create with Him. This journey isn't just about building a business, it's about God. Makeshift shelters reminded them they'd left Egypt, but hadn't reached the promised land. Your early days, working from a bedroom corner using borrowed tools, are your Succoth. It may feel small, but God is working in you right there. Succoth is a recovery zone, where you heal from tying your value to job titles and learn your worth as God's child. It's not easy, you'll face fears and doubts. But in your temporary shelter, God meets you and equips you. Don't despise small beginnings. Your booth is faith in action. Every great dream starts with humble steps. Embrace your Succoth. It's preparing you for greater things. Temporary shelter. Manage your finances, live below your means, and create a freedom fund for your transition. Test your idea before going all in. Start small. Get feedback. Just a side hustle. See this as a sacred opportunity to invest in your future. Start small, but start now. Don't let fear or perfectionism stall you. Take one action this week. Buy a domain. Create a page, talk to a customer. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Use building your booth today. Moving from employee to entrepreneur is a shift in identity. As an employee, your worth is tied to titles and routines. Entrepreneurship calls you to see yourself as a creator and steward. You must unlearn waiting for permission and learn to take initiative with God as your guide. This shift requires prayer. Success. You need a support network, mentors, peers, encouragers to walk with you. Don't do this alone. Your tribe is part of your shelter. Become a lifelong learner. Entrepreneurs must master many skills and stay teachable. See every challenge as a lesson. As you grow, your confidence shifts from what you know to who guides you. This new identity is the foundation for your journey. The wilderness isn't a straight path. Setbacks are inevitable. Like the Israelites, you'll face failures, doubts, and the temptation to turn back. But in God's hands, nothing is wasted. Every setback is a setup for growth. Failures reveal your weaknesses so you can rely on God's strength. Your greatest growth often follows your greatest challenges. When setbacks come, ask God what He's teaching you: patience, humility, or a new direction. The real obstacle isn't the challenge, but your internal narrative. Choose faith over fear. Each hurdle builds spiritual muscle and wisdom. Don't fear the rocky path, it's where God does His deepest work. These moments prepare you for the promise ahead. Every wilderness journey leads somewhere. For the Israelites, it was the promised land. For you, it's fulfilling God's purpose for your life. It's not just about success, but about impact and using your gifts for God's glory. Big dreams are built from small, faithful steps. Every task, skill, and relationship is a stone in your foundation. God delights in small beginnings. They show pure trust and dependence. One day, you'll look back and see God's faithfulness in every step. Your story will encourage others to begin their own journey. If you feel called to leave your Egypt, don't be afraid. Your Succoth is holy ground. Trust God with your beginnings, stay faithful, and walk.
Hey, I am so glad that we finally got through that video. I want y'all to know that I have been trying to set up this presentation for you guys for over an hour. I've been met with all types of obstacles. That's why I know that this message is for you. So right now, I want to shout out, and I apologize for the skipping around of the video. We're going to redo that video so that you guys can get the full concept of the video. I don't know if some of you noticed your company's logos inside of the video. Some photographs of some of you guys. I'm celebrating you. I am excited. And right now I want to give a shout out. I'm giving a shout out to Mountain Collectives Corporation out of California. I'm giving a shout out to the Health Independence Community and Economic Development Corporation. It's a nonprofit organization. I'm giving a shout out to Loving the Culture, INC, Inc. I'm giving a shout out to TrueMark Services, Inc. A shout out to Enchanting Designs, a shout out to A. Wilson Enterprises, a shout out to Shoebink Incorporated. Listen, I am so proud of each and every one of you. I know I didn't get everybody's name, and I'm asking you to forgive me. See, that's what happens when you start calling company or corporate names. You subject yourself to missing someone. I want to give a huge shout out to Complete Admin Incorporation. Shout out to Unicorn Dreams Incorporated. And I want to give a shout out to Ombudsman Incorporated. Yeah, I'm excited for all of you. And that's not even all. I haven't called out all of the names. I don't have them written down in front of me. So I was trying to see if I could do some of it by memory. I had a couple of them written down. But for the most part, I was trying to do them all from memory. But I just want to say that I'm excited. I'm excited for every single individual. Miracle Scott Incorporated. Forgive me. Don't want to miss anybody. Listen, I want y'all to know it's Miracle Scott. It's Miracle Scott Enterprise Incorporated. I want y'all to know that y'all are on a journey. Okay, so that video is coming from Numbers chapter 33. If you have a Tanakh, that's the Hebrew version of biblical studies, then you're going to really enjoy reading it. If you're not a biblical person, I want you to see this as a historical reminder, a historical recap, historical study. When we look at chapter 33 of Numbers, the book of Numbers, what we're seeing is a journey that the children of Israel had to take in order to come out of almost 400 years of bondage, of captivity, of containment and limitation in their psychology, in their neurology, and the very construct of their cellular system. Because, our cells reproduce, right? But they're reproducing off of a particular image. And after a while, that particular image will begin to perfect itself. Okay, meaning that it begins to mature, it begins to age, but it's aging along the same molecular structure. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's the thing. If you're going to go from being in something like captivity for close to 400 years, you literally have to change to become a different person. That is what's happening. So as they went from place to place on their 40-year journey out of the land of Ramses, they began a journey of transforming who they were. So God already knew when they left that the ones that were alive in that generation wouldn't have the capacity to sustain being free. They would have been taken captive again and probably placed in more constraints, if you're understanding. Okay, because that's the mindset. That's the mindset of individuals that have been held captive. You're going to end up back in that captivity, but it's going to be on a greater scale, on a greater level. So what happens is you have to become a new creature. Your mind has to completely change its paradigm. Your thought patterns have to transform. As they were going through that wilderness, if you notice in the scripture of Numbers chapter 33, it names every stop. Yeah. Place by place, it names every stop. So as I'm studying, the Spirit of the Lord arrested my spirit, and he kept on making me curious day by day as to why was he mentioning place by place? Why were you doing this? It was so cumbersome and it took so long. Why? And then he said, well, ask me why. So I asked him why. He began to reveal that every place that they went had a significant meaning in their neurology, in their psychology, and even their cellular and molecular subatomic structure, that part that we can't touch. It seems like it's intangible because we can't see it with the naked eye. It's the very vibration that they were resonating within. Yeah. So they had to change they had to become other people, new people. He knew they weren't going to make it, but he also knew that the next generation would make it because they would be raised in a different mindset as he was transforming the children of Israel and those who were 20 years old and above. So the very first stop, if you look at verse 5 in Numbers chapter 33, what you see there, and I love the way this was written. They go quickly from place to place. So what you see there is that the Israelites set out from Ramses and encamped in Succoth. They encamped in Succoth. That was the very first stop. Okay. So I want you to join me as we go through this journey of dependency to independence, from being in employment to being an employer. It's a wilderness, if you would, it's a type of theology. I want to say a neurotheology. Okay, so we're going to call this our wilderness neurotheology project, if you will. I'm going to walk with you. Each time we get together, I'll do a very small segment explaining that particular transition and why it was necessary for them to be in that place. Okay, so we're starting with Succoth. Now, I want you to use this for your own neurology, because you are going out of from one place into another, but you don't just step into that. No, otherwise you'll have cognitive dissonance, because a part of your mindset and thought pattern will be back here while you're trying to develop a different type of cognition that will mirror where you want to go. But you don't just jump there. You've got to go through the process of transition. And what happens is we want to avoid transition. I know all about it. I understand I know all about it. I also know what's going to keep happening to you if you don't understand the neurology of walking through the process. Okay? So we're going to touch on something profound. It's the geographic of the whole book of Numbers 33. How neurologically there was a spiritual roadmap that was taking place to move them from a certain resonance into how they needed to resonate as being free. It's not just historical itinerary, but God is literally, those names of those places have meaning. Okay. So Succoth is a place of temporary shelter. What did I say? Succoth is what? It's a place of temporary shelter. Okay? Succoth. If you're looking with me in Numbers chapter 33 and you're in verse 5, you know what I'm talking about. Succoth. Succoth. Okay. All right. So it means booths. Matter of fact, there is a feast that the Jewish brothers and sisters will keep, and those who honor the feast and as well will keep Succoth. It's also called Feast of Tabernacles. It's also called a time of ingathering. It is the time when all of the Hebrew-born individuals, they celebrate the time when they had temporary housing and they had to look up, because they built it with straw or whatever they had out there in the wilderness, and it didn't always have a covering or have a temporary covering on it or what have you. It wasn't a completely structured building. Okay. So Succoth means booth or temporary dwelling. So initially, when they came out of slavery, when they came out of Ramses, it was necessary when they were initially released from bondage because they were in a type of uncertain mindset. So it was where they were certain that at least though they were slaves, there was going to be some food somewhere, some garlic and some leeks. But now they're moving into this place where they're divinely dependent on God. It's a psychological process that we have to literally have our nervous system to unhook from trauma-based survival patterns. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Trauma-based survival patterns. Making ends meet, or having to step and fetch it in the positions that you have with employers who are not recognizing the gift that you have, that you're bringing to the table, and they're not recognizing it because they're not the pay is not commensurate to the gift that you're bringing to the table, the productivity that you're bringing to the table. So you're living in, as you're working every day and going to work for your employer, or if you let's say you're addicted. This is also a pattern for coming out of addiction, because you don't just jump out of being heavily addicted into being delivered and not delivered. You understand? You don't come out of being dependent on drugs into a place where you are completely relieved of your dependency. There is a process that you have to go through. I used to call it the shakes and the quakes. I understand a part of that process. And so what's happening is that your neurological system is releasing itself from trauma-based survival patterns. That didn't happen overnight, brothers and sisters. You're entering into a liminal space of disorientation. You're disoriented and you don't even consciously realize it. Spiritually, it looks like, or mirrors kind of raw vulnerability. You're subject to certain things that could happen to you. And it comes right after a breakthrough. If you ever notice, anytime you've had any kind of breakthrough, miraculous healing, miraculous deliverance from addiction, where you don't actually have a taste for the thing anymore, but you still got the habitual behavior that's in your neurology that you now have to overcome, or the vibrational resonance that you're accustomed to resonating that you now got to overcome. Even in coming out of relationships, long-term relationships, you got a space where you're disoriented. You've had the breakthrough, but now you've got vulnerability that's there. It's where the soul begins to rewire. Yeah. It's rewiring, because see, it's unstable. Your soul, your mind, will, and emotion, they're unstable, but they are free. So when we talk about Succoth, we're going to go in more details of how it was introduced in Numbers chapter 33 and what it represents. It represents more than just a physical encampment. It signifies the sacred threshold of transition. And that's where you guys are. You've been in business for a long time. You've been incorporated for a long time, some of you. But now you're moving into a place of growth. You're moving into a place of understanding how you're going to build your company, at the same time build others and build wealth, in addition to how you're moving from sustaining and existing into thriving and growth, developing and replicating. Yeah, replicating. Yes. Creating other limited franchise units. We teach that in this course. So I'm going to stop now, but we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about Succoth. We're going to talk about the symbolism in Succoth. And we're going to talk about some practical ways that we can walk through this time frame of Succoth, and what it's like when you come out of your breakthrough, understanding that you are now in a season, a transition, a mindset of Succoth. And if you want to get ahead of this thing, read more in Numbers chapter 33. Numbers chapter 33. Yeah, that way you can understand where we're going to be going next. Blessings.